What do you think of this initiative or this partnership with Germany? Do you think it is a welcome development? And how do you think it would impact Nigerians, the layman on the street? How would this partnership affect him or impact his life?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I would like to say clearly here that I think we are really lucky to have this partnership, and we are looking forward for a lot of benefit coming out from it. I would also like us to understand Nigeria is more of a gas nation than actually oil nation. The reserves that we have for gas, even if Nigeria is going to be at a full-blown utilization, we will be able to exhaust it in the next 500 years at our present consumption rate. So if we are having a potential investor that's going to come into the country, invest in gas, we should know clearly that actually gas is one of the best clean energy today that we have in the around the world. Two, we have a huge reserve that we will be able to exploit it within the shortest time. So if we have advanced countries that can come in with high tech, Germany is having one of the best technology for gas in the world. So coming into Nigeria and going to partnership with Nigeria, I think it's going to be a big boost for Nigerian economy. Don't forget, we have already initiated a national project. That's, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We have the HHA gas pipeline. The HHA gas pipeline means the Abuja Kaduna Kano pipeline. This same pipeline is actually designed from day one to evacuate our gas into Europe. Now, we are already having a very good investor who is actually coming in to be a partner in that project. It will bring a lot of economic development, because all the areas along the corridor of this gas pipeline will be the first direct beneficiaries. That is, I'm talking of in terms of direct benefits. So we have a lot of things to make, apart from the foreign exchange earning that the nation will be making. We'll have a lot of benefit coming out from it directly from the Nigerian investors who are actually going to key into this project.
Okay, Nigeria has one of the highest gas reserves in the world. Now, how can we channel this? Because for a country that is still struggling, as of today, I think 1 kg of gas still sells for 1,200. That is almost above the price for fuel in the country. Now, if we have so much gas reserves, why are we still suffering? What are the what technology do you think we should utilize to ensure that we can contain this energy for the good of Nigerians? Aside, of course, it's a welcome development to have it exported to other countries, and all of that. But at the same time, charity begins at home. How do we channel these resources for the benefit of Nigerians in Nigeria?
It's a beautiful question, and it's a mind-boggling question for that matter. But there's one big question I always want us to look at. When you want to start developing an industry, at the onset, it's always going to be a difficult, challenging moment. Right now, we don't have one single plant that is dedicated to production of gas in this country. That's number one. So the little people that are having opportunities to actually use our gas are the ones that are actually taking advantage of whatever that's available right now. But don't forget, if you can imagine, if supposing our gas that is being wasted today can be utilized and then be converted, that's what we call the condensate system. If we can compress that very gas and then make it to be of usage in the domestic house, that means every household in Nigeria can have that gas free of charge. But right now we are flaring it up. And as we are flaring this gas up, don't forget it's money that we're wasting. So the federal government is actually conscious of all this. At the time, they tried to ban anything related to gas flaring, but we couldn't succeed in making it work. Why? Because there are still no technology that we're having at home that will convert this gas into condensate that we'll be able to use in producing the liquefied natural gas that we're looking at for. So this is exactly the challenge we're having. And I think at this very material time, if the German government is coming in or German companies are coming in, that's going to be the first breaking point, because the little cartel that's controlling the gas won't be able to even survive. Everybody will have to come back and then look at the entire system whereby it will be operational. And the target is to make sure we supply gas to the German economy. Not just Germany, but the entire European nation will actually depend heavily on Nigerian gas supply. So if we look at those kind of intricacies, yes, naturally, at the onset, we are finding it difficult, because honestly, it's unbelievable that we are buying gas at 1,200 naira per kg as compared to what we're buying fuel today, which is much more cheaper. So, but if we can boost at that sector and develop the gas sector properly, don't forget, we don't even have to be pumping the gas direct from Niger Delta alone. We have a lot of gas within the hinterland. The inland basins have a lot of gas reserves. So Nigeria is having the tendency that we will reach a point that we will have virtually gas everywhere being utilized, and that's where the economics will come in. At that point, it must drop, because there's competition among the producers, and everybody wants to outwit one another. That will bring in the cost of gas to drop. I think this is the only thing I can explain for now. But right now, we don't have that, and it's expected. People will take advantage of the entire economics.
Very well put. Now, Mr. Malgui, what do you think about governments seeking to find investors who can convert this natural energy, natural gas, for other purposes aside cooking? Would that further, reduce the pressure on fuel, if people have alternatives of using gas for other purposes, I think there would be limited or at least reduced need for petrol or fuel. Do you think that is something the government should look into at this time to ensure that Nigeria has a better economy?
Thank you very much for this very important question. I like the way you framed it, because I want to give you a typical example. We have a lot of industries that actually depend today on black oil, or they use other means of either diesel or this kind of thing to supply their energy. Now, it's going to be a very interesting scenario. Supposing the gas system is working, supposing we are having gas supplies today in the country, do you know most of the industries will not depend on black oil? Most of them will not depend on diesel. Most of them will not go for anything related to petrol, but rather they will use the gas because it's much more cheaper. If you look at it within the past few, let's say few months, or let's say within the past 2 years, a lot of micro industry, micro components of our generating systems are being converted from using of petrol down to use of gas. The simple reason behind it is because it's cheaper. If you are refueling your generator, for example, with maybe 6,000 naira per day, you will discover that you will now be able to use maybe less than 3,000 naira for gas per day. And that's exactly the kind of technology we're looking at for. We have a lot of industries today, for example, all the cement factories, all the ceramic industries. If you go to Ajakuta, you will see where different companies using black oil, using coal, using different kind of source of energy, because there's no gas today. If these gas systems start working, I bet you most of those companies that are using diesel and all those stuff will stop using it. That means automatically we'll have a lot of the hydrocarbon, especially the gas and we'll be able to do so much. And I'm looking forward to actually a time that we will have more gas in the country being utilized it will certainly bring down the cost of petrol. It will certainly bring down the cost of gas. It will certainly bring down the cost of a lot of things within. It will affect a lot of things within the economy. So we should be looking towards that. I am really, really happy about this discussion between Nigeria and Germany, because I am very sure, give it 2, 3, 4 years, you will see the impact within the economy will be very, very glaring.
I was going to ask you, how many years it would take before Nigerians start to enjoy the benefits of this partnership. Now, going to the issues we usually have with fuel, embezzlement, as well as vandalization and everything. Government is always complaining that there are some miscreants in the country that tend to more like embezzle our crude oil here in Nigeria. Do you think that is a problem we might also start to have when this industry is, this aspect of the industry, which is the exploitation of natural gas? Do you think this is going to also be a challenge that the government will have to look into to ensure that, this kinds of business or this kinds of partnership, goes well without any struggle?
I wish Nigerians will understand the technology behind the gas pipeline system. Unlike what we use in the oil sector, when you're pumping diesel in the in our pipelines, diesel is less volatile as compared to petrol. Now, the bad news for people that are thinking of vandalization, the gas pipelines are much more volatile, much more dangerous than anything you can think of within either the petrol sector or the pumping of gas. Now, the reason is this: when you're pumping diesel, it's a heavy, much more heavier crude. Product. Petrol is lighter than our normal diesel. Now, gas is much more lighter, and not just lighter than that, but it's a compressed, highly compressed system. Now, by the time that there's any little punching on our pipeline, I can guarantee you there's going to be an explosion. So people that are thinking of using that as a means of siphoning the gas from the pipeline, honestly, that's going to be a very, very bad business for them, because it will consume virtually everybody or the community at large. So I think this is an early warning for our people to understand that it's not something that we can play around with it. Two, the gas moves at a very, very fast speed. That's why the pipeline that conveys this compressed gas is a special pipeline. You don't use the normal pipe to convey this. So even to get access to those kind of facilities, it's much more complex. I think on the overall target, we stand a chance as a nation to benefit heavily, because there will be less tendencies of vandalization. There will be less tendencies of interruption. People can only, the worst that can happen is for people to now blast and then, but even then, I cannot imagine how, if you understand the kind of pressure that those pipelines carry, I don't think any human being will even think of getting close to that. I think, to me, it's a clear warning for Nigerians to understand that. Anybody that's thinking of that business, I think it's the wrong thing to do at this very material time. I can confidently say that.
All right. Now, since Nigeria is looking to stop the practice of gas flaring, what would be the benefit on our environment in the country?
I think it's a very interesting question, because we don't need to tell anybody that gas flaring is not really good for the system. That's number one. If you go to Niger Delta region, I can tell you clearly from experience, I've seen it clearly, that we will have this black soot of carbon deposited virtually on every plant that you walk around in the Niger Delta. The simple reason for that is the simple fact that, yes, we are blasting that very gas, it's converting the carbon system, coming back in from the air, and then being deposited on our systems. It's really unfortunate. We should have banned the flaring of gas from day one. because it doesn't really make sense. Two, don't forget, this is something that can be converted from waste to product, economically beneficial product. So why do we really need to continue flaring up? But you see, don't forget that these companies that are producing oil are interested in just getting their own component without bearing in mind the consequences that the economy is bearing. Honestly, I think the federal government needs to be hard on that, because there's no reason why we should flare our gas. No reason at all. If we understand the implication, we said if we don't have anything to do, we better convert and then use it, give it to the citizen free of charge. It will make a lot of sense. But now that we know that it can be converted into an economic product, the federal government should face it headlong to make sure that actually gas flaring should stop, and then we should convert it into economic product. Let's use it for the benefit of the economy at large.